So both episodes were really founded on this idea of making the complex simple. And so if I'm quoting Frank Blake correctly, he said that the best leaders pull complexity up and push simplicity down. So I think a really good starting point would be to kind of unpack that again.
Yeah, it's really, really big. It sounds brilliant, and it's so true. And he even talked about with senior teams. He said the best senior teams, leaders and teams, they pull all that complexity up, all that noise and stuff that's going on in the system, and they pull it up, and then they push simplicity down to make people focus, because that's the key. But then he went on and he said the worst leaders and the worst teams do the opposite. And we probably all experienced that. Someone that's pulled simplicity up and then made things overly complex. And we all hear that and say, oh yeah, I get that. But I think what I want to talk about is how do we actually do it? What does that look like? So from a senior team standpoint, and let's say we're a C-level executive and we're part of a big organization, or we've got lots of complexity. I think part of it is making sure that we're asking everyone in the room for their point of view. So as a mentor of mine shared with me years ago, he said, we all hold a piece of the truth. So you're sitting around that table with 6 or 7 other brilliant people that are all looking at different parts of the business. Make sure you're going around and saying, what do you see? What do you see? What do you see? What do you see as the greatest challenges of complexity? So I think step 1 is we need to put all that complexity out on the table. Where we go wrong is we think we're the smartest person in the room.
Yeah.
Now that's a mantra we've heard people say before. It's an old adage. And yet, when you're the leader, you think you've been appointed the leader because you're supposed to be the smartest person in the room.
Yeah.
Not so much the facilitator. So I think the first step is really recognizing ourselves as facilitator, because that's really the job of a C-level executive, particularly in a large, complex organization, because there's no way you can be a subject matter expert on anything, any specific thing at that moment.
Yeah.
Your job is to kind of align everybody.
What and so beautiful about that is both of these leaders also mention that point, right? Like I remember Frank was talking about being on the floor in Home Depot and asking other team members there, how do you feel about this? What are you seeing in your stores? Graciela did the same. When she goes into the individual stores, she's asking them, I believe one of her questions was like, tell me about one of your favorite customers, which is great because you're getting that one-on-one interaction with the people who are coming in the door and actually keeping the lights on. But not only that, she asked them, what is something that we're doing that's actually really hard for you, or can we improve upon? Which is I love that, because those are the people in the stores that are actually having to work the machines and maybe come up with flavors and follow processes and things like that. I loved that. I thought it was beautiful.
Whitney, I think you're spot on, brilliant. And they activate that muscle of curiosity.
Yeah.
That's the first step. So if we want to know how do we take complexity up, simplicity down, first step, get curious. Ask lots of questions, because through the questions we'll draw out all the complexity. We won't miss anything. Mm-hmm. And then once you have it all on the table, then how can you make it as simple as possible? And so what I mean by that is it's the adage that I've been talking about for many, many years. We can't make everything urgent all the time. We can't put hot sauce on everything. So you've got to really be able to say, okay, what is all this telling us? And then as a result, where do we need to focus? And how can we make that as simple and as sticky as possible? So not only are we going for bullet points, it's really great if we can make that statement very, very simple. So, like when I'm coaching my clients, I'll say, sit in the author seat instead of the editor seat. Or we author up, we edit down. We author up, we edit down. And it's simple and people remember it. So how do we take that thing that we're trying to push and make it really, really clear? Now, I think it's important that we talk about one of the biggest challenges in any organization, and it's particularly challenging if we're in the nonprofit space and we're a nonprofit leader. And that is, for everything we say yes to, we have to say no to something. And nonprofits in particular have a very hard time shutting off programs. Yeah. Companies do, but they can justify it by saying it's losing money. Mm-hmm. Nonprofits can lose money, it doesn't matter. We're going to keep on doing it because we don't want to not offer that to our constituents. But in order to drive simplicity down, we can't have a menu like Cheesecake Factory, right? It's got to be very specific. So we've got to be able to narrow that focus. So that's the other challenge for us as leaders, is making the tough calls. What are we not going to be doing? and be able to state that too. So here's what we're doing and here's what we're not doing. Now the other thing that in a conversation with Graciela that she mentioned around this is she said, I asked her, what do you think are the skills that future leaders really need? And she said, they really need great communication skills. But she was really talking about the ability to be simple and clear and make it about that person. So when we're messaging to people, we want to make sure, how do we make it simple and clear, but also make it about them? Like, we're trying to create, I think the one thing Graciela talked about was creating those moments for people, those meaningful moments. So maybe that's what we're trying to create for our customers, or whatever it is, but come down with that simple, clear thing that shares kind of the why, or shares that meaning, is the ideal.